So today is after having what I now see as a well-needed rest day yesterday. So there's been one rest day gap between that chest pump and now. And oh my goodness, I haven't felt this I haven't felt this kind of DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness, for quite a while. Because now, I mean, my training is starting to change. It's starting to revert back to what it normally consists of, which is heavier, more intense, slightly larger or more volume kind of sets. So, you know, when I might have done 5 sets of light squeezing tricep extensions or 5 sets of light squeezing chest press or something, now that I've got more kind of food and carbs in my system, and I'll be able to physically handle moving around more weight, right? It's going to take a second to acclimate to just how that actually feels on a lift by lift basis. So far it's been arms, back, or no, arms, back, arms, I don't remember. Back, arms, and chest have been done, and with one extra rest day, now it's time to throw some legs into the mix. So same approach as normal, hamstrings first. This will be a full leg day, so I'll be in here for a little while, so this will actually be kind of a late upload tonight. But hamstrings first, followed by quads, followed by a pump check, then followed by adductors and calves. Oh my goodness. So with the adductors, not the most intense sets in the world. Really what I'm concerned with is just getting them done, because if I don't, I mean, over these next few weeks, as I start to get into heavier pressing with legs, your adductors act as a really kind of crucial stabilizer. So if I go to squat like, I don't know how many 100 pounds or whatever, but my adductors aren't acclimated to that much weight, not only am I just asking for just legit adductor injury, like pulling, you know, what you could say is basically like pulling your groin in the bottom of a squat or something. But if I start getting a little wobbly, side to side, dude, even if you've got safeties, even if you got the safety bars up, the squat rack is still a dangerous place if you introduce any kind of lateral, any kind of unintended lateral movement. So by adding in some adductors at the end of the workout, that kind of helps give me some adductor activation. And if you're the type of guy who's into sumo deadlift, you know, I'm not trying to say anything by that, but stronger adductors would help you there as well. But overall, it's kind of a muscle that I think just gets neglected because it's not very fun to train. And I'm not sitting here training like absolute complete failure reps and getting myself amped up. Like, all I'm doing is 8 or so sets, you know, a hefty weight for like 15, to the point where I can tell I'm burning them out, like I'm doing good work. But it's not the same as anything else, which, I mean, I guess if your adductors are really lacking, you should be taking them to failure, progressive overloading. But for the most part, I think just giving them some work as more of an accessory movement, that's kind of your bread and butter of adductor activation. And then calves is just going to be camping out on the seated calf machine. Nothing too fancy there. But I do not foresee any insanely heavy squats today. Potentially some leg press. We'll just have to see what happens. But what I'm most concerned with, just getting a good quad pump, getting a good leg pump in general. Hamstrings will be easy enough. RDLs, laying curls, maybe some seated curls. And then quads, I'll just see what happens. You know, I haven't been exposed to any heavy quad, you know, knee-based sort of force for the last like 3 or so months. I mean, I think the last time I did barbell squats, I called it. I only did 4 plates, which at that strength I was at, felt pretty heavy, but like I wasn't really trying to push it too crazy. So to go on basically a 3-month heavy pressing hiatus to immediately trying to squat 5 plates out of nowhere, that's probably not in my best interest. But you know, I'll see how I feel. Maybe I'll play around in the Smith machine. But I can say with certainty there's going to be a good chunk of leg extensions and sissy squats. Now, if I want to branch out from there and try some, well, I'll definitely try some seated machine leg press. We'll just have to see what happens. But I don't even have to worry about quads for a while. I've got a full-on hamstring lift to finish first. So how about we just jump in there and get to work on that portion of my posterior chain. There we go. All right, let's start single leg alternating, squeezing. This is a good little introductory style set. And then just go from there. I might do some heavy, nasty ones. We'll just see what happens. But primary goal is to get a pump without hurting myself. So I'm not going to start with the full stack single leg. Yeah, might be a little out of my wheelhouse. That's good. Oh, that was the perfect opener. One more. Oh my God. Yeah. Let's go to some Smith RDLs. And one little piece of intel about the execution during these reps is at the top, I'm really trying to get a moment of extra at least for the reps I was fresh, right? Like those first 5, it was almost like the rep had 3 portions, right? The actual concentric, and then at the top, 1 extra moment hold, and then a slow release. But let's go do some RDLs. So, barbell RDLs instead of Smith machine. If somebody's benching on a Smith machine, and that would be like, of course, everybody in the gym should share. Like, be nice, you know, ask if you can work in, but you know, show some. You got to use some reason as well. Maybe don't try to work in with the guy doing Smith machine bench with Smith machine RDLs. That's a little too far removed, but not heavy at freaking all. 1 plate and a 10 is all I really need here, especially because my ham's already wrecked from those squeezing hamstring curls. So I think a set or 2 here, actually probably 2, and then maybe go back to a curl, seated or laying. I don't mind going back to the same movement if I do like double leg, maybe a little heftier. We'll just have to see. But RDLs, definitely a tricky one, because I'm not trying to use my lower back or my glutes at all. I'm only trying to like hinge my hips and stretch out my hamstrings, which is much easier said than done. But it's just a practice thing. I mean, I couldn't feel my hamstrings in RDLs for freaking years, but now I get the gist of it. So, start light. I'd say that's a nice little, nice tip. Yeah. Holy crap. Oh my god. Yeah, that's a real good squeeze. 1 more. Oh my god. Whoa. Oh. I think let's go finish with one more set of curls. That'll be good. Oh. Alright. Last one, double leg. I guess don't need straps anymore, but this is gonna be a little nastier because I'm just trying to put the finishing touches and get as much blood into it as possible. Oh my gosh. All right. Let's grab a leg extension. I'm going to start quads exactly the same as how I started hamstrings, with 5 reps on one side, 5 on the other, 5 on one, 5 on the other, Now my knees feel really good, and usually what I do is I warm up to the point where it's like as heavy as I can go comfortably for my knees. Because obviously if I did the full stack, like sure, maybe I could move it, but it would totally thrash my whole system in here. But right now, let's just call it at half the stack and go hard. I am certain that my quads are going to be as pumped as they have ever been, at least for the last like 5 months. So I'm not sure where we'll go from here, but 2 or 3 sets deep of these, it's going to be a pretty good start quad wise. But let's make this shit happen. There we go. Yeah. Oh my gosh. A little heavier for this next one. That's a good start. I'm gonna buckle up for this one. This should be a staple on all leg extensions. All right. Oh my God. One more. And then I think the machine leg press is calling my name. Not too heavy, but a little heavier than this. Oh my gosh. Let's go do some leg press. This feels really good. Thank you, glycogen. Let's get the stack going on this leg press. Now, I like this one. It's heavy, but it's not too heavy. Like, I'm not worried about like pulling anything here after the first feeler rep I did. And I started with half the stack, rep, a little heavier, rep, a little heavier, rep, a little heavier, rep. So this should be a good, nasty one. And I should hit failure pretty quick because this machine is heaviest at the bottom. Like if I had a scale right here reading the force, it would read like, I don't even know, probably double the weight in the hole and then get lighter at the top, which is definitely a funky strength curve. So I'll probably be able to do rep, rep, rep. It might slow down a little bit. And then I'm probably gonna get stuck right down here and that'll be it. But no more discussing it. Let me just pick a song and go nuts. Yeah, you fuck. Star Set is on it. Die for You has kind of been that's been up there for me these last couple lifts. That felt really good. Let's do at least one more, maybe two. Ooh. Ooh. Yeah, that's nice. Holy crap. Yay! Oh my gosh. I think one more. And then a superset of leg extensions with 60 squats will be good. Whew. It feels nice to push weight with quads. This is way more fun than just freaking leg extensions. Ugh. Come on. I think one more finisher pump set, right? Oh, on an open leg extension, and I think that'll be it. Oh my goodness! Oh, actually, I might have 3 of those might have overdone it, but that's okay. No, let's finish with leg extensions. Immediately stand up, sissy squats, and then find a mirror. I feel kind of bad though. I stink right now. I mean, like, I'm totally showered, fully deodorized and everything, but I'm not used to sweating this hard. Which, I mean, is a good thing, of course. But yeah, maybe I gotta do, this is something I used to do if I knew I was gonna be stinking. Deodorant in the armpits and the elbow pits right in here. Just is a little bit of an extra deterrent. So if you know anybody who's maybe on the more aromatic side, that's a little fitness tip unrelated to the weights. But this will be good. And this is light, like double leg. This is the same weight I was doing for single leg earlier. Squeeze, slow eccentric, squeeze and hold 1 second. Really just acting as a pre-exhaust. So when I stand up for some sissy squats right here, it'll be even harder. But I think that'll be a good finisher for quads. You can pose down, and then for you, we can get in the car. But for me, I'll camp out and finish adductors and calves. Not really much to see there. Come on. There we go. Yeah, yeah. Ooh. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's a quad pump. Let's go find some lighting and see what it really looks like. All right, so all the best pose down spots are currently occupied. So let's just do this torso and lower one straight out of the freaking peanuts. But overall, legs feel pumped to SHIT. And I took a little bit of extra long rest periods between these sets just because they were kind of extra taxing, going a little bit heavier. But let's see how they're looking. They should feel pretty freaking bulbous. Well, at least look pretty bulbous. But these are going to be much thicker as time progresses. Boy. Yeah, looks like you got a reasonable amount of leanness. But this is what I'm talking about in terms of holding water. Like my shins are a little more tame looking, because they've got a little extra thick subskin layer of water, kind of taken away from some of the leanness. But overall, beef-wise, yeah. Let's fast forward this clip 6 months of straight bulking, and there should be a pretty dang noticeable size differential. But for you, let's jump into the car, and then for me, I am gonna go camp out on the adductor machine and just totally freaking thrash him. Now, not gonna pull my groin or anything, but I'll go as heavy as I can manage. There we go. All right, legs complete. Actually, let me make sure I'm still in focus here. Yeah, we're good. So one thing I've been seeing a lot after the Arnold, it's kind of a little bit of like a TikTok style trend. It's like, whoa, these guys are just regular ass dudes that decided to go for it, record themselves, and they blew up. There's a little more to it than that, at least from my perspective, right? When I look at the social media side of things, for me at least, my shtick is I like to keep it simple, right? Lift hard and record it. I think sometimes, especially kind of younger guys, you might get misconstrued and you might feel like you want to put the recording before the workout, you know, like okay, I mean, I've seen clips, it really sucks to see it. It's like a guy will be in the car talking and he's like, man, my gym said no tripods. Half the reason I only go to the gym is so I can record it. No, I think that's a little bit of a flawed mentality, right? A little monkey see, monkey do style. So as far as I'm concerned, as a little bit of a tip, if you're getting into posting your stuff and recording everything, which I think there's a huge value to kind of recording and self-documenting your stuff. Like, I wish I had some old training videos from year one of working out. I mean, I have like the occasional like PR attempt back when I was like 160 in the basement, when I'd have like I'd have Mark record it on my iPhone 5, or I think I was, no, I was rocking the 5S back then. I had evolved past the iPod, but like I really wish I did have more clips from back then, just for historical value, like for me, right? But if you let the recording distract you from the regular working out, then I think you kind of miss the point, right? So my little tip there is work out and record it, right? Don't just record and then work out. That's my little tip there. But the plan for me now is go home and freaking pass out. I can guarantee I am gonna sleep extraordinarily well tonight. So one thing I kind of noticed between bulks and cuts is the temperature of my apartment fluctuates pretty much in tune, you know. So the last few months of dieting, I mean, I like it like 72, maybe 71-ish, because I'm cold. I mean, physically, when you're dieted and you're not taking in so much fuel, you're just running a little bit, you're just running a little cooler, you know, because you don't have a ton of energy to spare to, you know, keep yourself as warm. Obviously, it's not like I'm going to give myself hypothermia if I was, you know, living at like 68 or something, but a little warmer, a bit more comfortable. But now, as soon as I started eating some extra food, you know, also taking into account kind of the thermogenic effect of calories, like just when you eat a ton of food, you're gonna kind of produce some heat as a byproduct of that digestion. Look, I gotta cool it down, right? Like if I kept it at 71 or 72, which used to feel pretty comfortable, I mean, I'd be waking up in a sweat if I had, you know, too much of myself covered up in the blankets. So now it's dropped down to, I think I got it at like 67, and it's like floating around 50 outside now. So sometimes I crack the window open next to the bed too, just to get it a little extra cool, just so I don't freaking, you know, sweat through my clothes or anything. Probably my sweatiest story is me and a bunch of my old high school buddies. We all went to see Into the Spider-Verse, or maybe it was Across the Spider-Verse. I don't know. It was the second newer Spider-Man movie, and I'm wearing, you know, my classic black pants and like a dark blue shirt or whatever. And I think we went to like an AMC or something, and the seats were leather. I'm bulking at the time. We had just gone to Steak and Shake before, so I had a pretty good, substantially sized meal. And something about these leather seats, they just did not have much in terms of ventilation. You know, like they didn't have like little holes or anything. Like it was just straight up whatever. So, you know, of course we sit there for I don't know how long. It was at least an hour and a half. I feel like it was kind of a long one. It might have even been 2 hours. But either way, so we stand up. You know, everybody goes to the bathroom after because, of course, you just drank like a large Sprite, and you got to get those fluids out of you. And I didn't really realize it at the time. But I think it was one of my buddies, Jacob. He's like, wait a second, Sam, turn back around, because my entire backside was like a different shade of blue than the front, because my whole, like if I did a 180, it was like I had a different shirt on, because the whole backside of me was completely freaking drenched. So if you only looked at me from behind, you'd have no idea. But seeing me from the side or the front, it's like, dude, what the fuck? But yeah, the pros and cons of bulking, that's freaking for sure. But yeah, we're getting close to reaching equilibrium weight. So my, oh geez, yeah, I didn't even want to, I didn't even want to show you what my ankles looked like, or like my calves and everything looked like on that 2 days out from the show mark, because that's when I was like the most puffy and water retentioned. Oh my gosh, you know, like I was leaving freaking dents in the front of my shin if I really pushed on it. So that's a little indicator for me as to once I've kind of reached a more baseline state of hydration and I'm not still rebounding from that show, because I'll kind of be able to tell visually, like, all right, I'm not holding on to any excess water. This is my new starting weight. So I was walking around pre-show, or, you know, before those two shows, at like 230. Like I was like 228 on kind of a lighter day when I weigh myself in the morning. But of course, I didn't check in at 228. I checked in at 217. So really, that 217 value, that wasn't my real weight per se, because I mean, I only weighed that 217 for like a couple hours, because as soon as I actually weighed in, got clocked, measured, I made it into my weight cap and my weight class, then I get to go home, carb back up. So really, dieting down, I was floating around that, I'd say 229 was probably a good value. And then now I've been bouncing around, I think with some food in my stomach too. A few days ago I weighed in at 250, but that was with some extra kind of water or so. So I think tomorrow morning with an empty stomach, I'm gonna weigh just about 230. No, not 230, what am I saying? Like 240 something. Maybe just a flat 240, right? So that's gonna be my, or at least a little closer to my actual bulking starting weight. So it's not like I've suddenly gained, you know, 30 pounds from that 217 value. It's more so I've only gained like 15 pounds from carbing up because that 217 was not like a consistent body weight. That was just a one-off kind of depleted moment to weigh in. And then I carved up like, I think 9-ish pounds. It's kind of tricky because my scale weighed me in lighter than the scale that I actually checked in at that morning. So the morning of that Arnold amateur show, my scale read 216 with just shorts, nothing else. And then the other scale weighed 217. So something to take into consideration. It was, I was talking with somebody. They said that you should hop onto that scale or somehow figure out like a way to weigh yourself on whatever scale the show uses, like as soon as possible, and then weigh yourself on your scale so that you can tell if there's any differences and you can take those into account. But luckily I'm not gonna, well, not luckily, but I'm not gonna have to worry about that for quite a freaking while. because I get to bulk up. But that was a good leg day. I'm glad I just stuck to that leg press, because that one isn't too heavy. Like, it was heavy, like that was definitely some tension on my quads, but I wasn't pushing the envelope into what I would refer to as the danger zone, right? That was well within reason for kind of how I felt. And I can say that with a pretty good amount of certainty, because I basically ran through like a checklist of comfortability before I actually did that set, right? So I did a feeler rep with half the stack, plus I had done the leg extensions before, so my quads were already getting some activation, feeling pretty good and strong. And then I, what was I about to say? Yeah, so just easing into it. Everything felt good. Everything was in the green. Knees were cool, ankles were cool, hips felt solid. I didn't feel any random tweaks or twinges or anything. So that's kind of what I'm going to really focus on going forward with getting back into slightly heavier training with a little bit more volume, a little bit more intensity, you know, some more drop sets and supersets and rest pause kind of stuff, because I want to make sure that my stimulus in the gym is as intense as I can make it, because I'm going to be able to eat enough food to recover. Because, I mean, when I'm bulking up, I've got more than enough calories at my disposal to make up for the damage and the fatigue that I build up from these heavier lifts. And then that should translate to some pretty solid muscle gain, right? But, you know, before I get back into any heavy incline barbell or heavy dumbbell or heavy squats, I want to build up my exposure to it slowly. Because, I mean, I haven't done barbell squats for I don't know how long. There was a leg day somewhere where I did 4 plates for a few sets. That was maybe not 3 months ago, but maybe 2 or so. But it's been a while, so I'm out of practice. And with movements like that, it's not purely about your strength. Like squatting, free bar, that definitely is a skill. So the more you do it, the better you'll get at it. And if you haven't done it for a little while, maybe don't do as much weight as you've ever done since you're a little bit out of practice. And I'm not just saying that as a general tip. I mean, I've ran into that problem on my own, because I don't lose a ton of strength. Really, I don't lose too much strength at all over these dieting phases. I can definitely tell I'm a little bit weaker now after pushing it that far into prep, which I'm totally cool with. That's just the nature of things. But as I build that strength back up, I also need to get used to the feeling of actually having that weight on my back, staying extra stable, and not losing control. Because out of everything I do, I think that the barbell squat, I mean, that's fucking dangerous. You know, things can happen in a barbell squat if you're not careful. So safeties, always, and I want to make sure that I feel comfortable. So the reason I haven't been doing that for those dieting phases, for those unaware, is the fact that the barbell squat is a very fatiguing movement, right? It's not very isolative. I'm not only hitting my quads, I'm working my freaking midsection to brace, my lower back, pretty much my entire back, to keep myself tense and tight so that I'm not wobbly and I have a good support system. And I mean, my arms are going because I'm holding the bar extra tight. It's just a lot of moving parts all at once. So over this last few months, I've just been maintaining my quads and not trying to overdo it. So that's why I've been doing freaking like only leg extensions. But now that I'm getting back into it, I've got more energy at my disposal from having extra food in my system. The squat now will make sense. But even then, it's still up there with Smith machine squats as well, because the added stability of the fact that the Smith machine is on like a fixed path, I do think making use of that as well is pretty solid. Now, there's no replacing the barbell squat, of course, but I think the Smith machine squat is freaking sweet. And I'm sure I'll be throwing some weight around soon enough. But it's not all about the weight, right? I mean, it doesn't matter if I freaking squat 8 plates on a Smith machine or 3 plates on a Smith machine. I just want bigger legs, right? But there is value, I feel, in progressively overloading and pushing yourself to a limit where it's like, okay, I just did 8 reps of squats. That last rep was a legitimate, insane freaking grinder. There's no chance I can even do another one. And then rack it. Now, I think it might even be worth it to go for that other one anyway, even if you think you're probably going to fail it, just for the benefit of taking it down on that eccentric and just trying to make it. But when you have that much weight, it kind of sucks, because then you either have to unrack all the weight, put it back, rack all the weight back again onto the bar, or somehow like have somebody try to lift from the other side and like, but you know what I'm saying, right? Legs to failure on a heavy, hard set of pressing, that's where it's at. And I think that the difficulty of doing that kind of translates to everything else, you know? Like, half the benefit of heavy squats and heavy things like that is, even when you go back to the accessory movements of the leg extensions or sissy squats or whatever, you've got that extra strength and almost, I would say, mental resiliency to push it extra hard, to the point where I'd probably argue that the guy who can do a hard set of squats to failure, or at least like right there to failure, and I don't mean hard like 15 reps set, 5 reps in reserve. I'm talking 10 reps, 11 reps is basically impossible for the guy to get. That's the kind of level I'm sort of talking about there. I think that that guy is going to be able to train harder on his leg extension sets and his leg press sets and his, his whatever kind of sets, because he can take it that far. And it's, I'm sure you could probably get into the central nervous system training side of things, because, physical strength, it's not purely about how large your muscles were. If that were the case, then all of the world record powerlifters would look like bodybuilders. It is a certain mental aspect too, and kind of a sort of just a mental toughness kind of thing. If you took two guys, completely same build, completely same muscle fibers, but one dude has like the mind of who's a crazy powerlifter, John Hack, like transplanted into his body. He's probably going to be able to take sets harder than the untrained mind guy, even if their body is the same, because he can handle that like uncomfortability. So don't forget, as much as you're training your body, you're training your mind as well, right? Because what's the difference physically between a guy who can sit in an ice bath for 10 minutes and the guy who jumps out immediately because it's too much from the handle? Because it's not physical, right? Right up here, So what I'm trying to get at there is, if you can toughen up mentally, it should translate to some beefier gains physically. As classic and kind of cliche as it sounds, where the mind goes, or where the mind leads, the body will follow. And I think there's a lot of value to that kind of stuff. Sometimes those sort of motivational speeches and like the self-help stuff and the manifestation, it can be a little cheesy, but if you can kind of start to at least try to get the value and like the sentiment about what it's trying to get at, I really do think there's a lot of value to it. So worth looking into. I got into a bunch of that stuff a while ago. You got to look up Grave Mind on YouTube. He's got like a zillion videos where it's basically just excerpts from a lot of like manifestation, like mental toughness, a little bit of what's the word? A little bit like some stoicism kind of stuff, like basically some shit just trying to get you to be able to focus on your grind. But if you can listen to some of those like seriously and just try to take in the info, I think there's some pretty awesome stuff out there. But that's just my 2 cents on the matter. So now I get to go to bed knowing that I'm gonna feel my quads like crazy tomorrow, in a good way of course, and then I'm gonna get back to my regular routine, because these last few lifts I've kind of just like done the workouts that would feel good, kind of post-show. Like, I'm not really concerned about getting back into the perfect routine yet, but I think, I'm going to get back to my regular chest, back, arms, legs, rest day when necessary. But tomorrow might be, actually not even might be, tomorrow is definitely too soon for a chest day, like just based on how my chest feels right now. So I think I might make tomorrow a shoulders and forearms day, a little bit more accessory focused, but we'll see. And then today I did no cardio. I chilled out because I knew I was going to have leg later. And I was still a little overstimulated from those last couple of lifts. But the 30 minutes of cardio is a staple in this bulking phase. That will not change for freaking anything, barring potentially scheduling issues or sickness. Right? Those could throw off my game. But apart from any extenuating circumstances like that, yeah, even though I'm going to be bulking and I'm going to get a little bit softer, the cardio is going nowhere. Don't you freaking forget it. So, for whatever lift ends up happening tomorrow, I will just see you then.